But yeah, so as long as you get some time, that's good. So like win, 3 fights or something, or 2 or 3 fights, right? But if the enemy steamroll the first fight, that's when it's a problem because you can get steamrolled first into second fight. That's where the big kind of issues arise. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me. What happened to Epic Pen? What the hell? Let me screen share this. Is everyone here, by the way?
Everyone that's going to be, I think.
Yeah, cool. Right, you watching?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this starts on attack. Right, first thing, obviously, that everyone knows to do, scout for anything you can see. Right, you're not going to be able to scout Sombra, she's invisible. But the moment she unstealths, you know that they have a Sombra. From knowing they have a Sombra, you can kind of guess what their plan is, all right? If you know they have a Sombra, what's their plan? What's the plan with the Sombra?
To hack someone and dive.
Yeah, pretty much. So, well, they don't know that you're going to have ball, right, when they pick the Sombra. They're on defense. They can't pick, right, to counter. But yeah, Sombra counters ball. I do agree with that. But Sombra, a lot of the time, or Sombra comps, the goal is to charge EMP as quick as possible by providing a pressure, from the start, pretty much. Get EMP as soon as possible and then basically dive in with an EMP or rush in with an EMP. You don't really play Sombra with spam. You play her with dive or rush. And when the EMP comes in, you either rush in or you dive in. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So that's something you have to be aware of. Who is your Sombra scouter on your team?
Hello, me, Diva. Woo.
Yeah, it's you and Ido is there basically to get the kill. Okay, secure the kill with a stun. So you scout her. If she's nearby, you get the stun, and then Discord, one headshot, blah blah blah. You need to be fast, and the stun. A lot of the time, you're gonna stun her, and she jumps away, and that's good enough, right? But if you can kind of scout her and then stun her, one headshot from like Zen with the Discord, that's like a kill as well. But yeah, get her out is the main thing, so she doesn't charge EMP. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Right, let's see how you guys dive this. Remember, it's divey dive, okay? That's the first thing. You are against dive. Now, what have I told you before, right, about dive, what dive does? Like, on defense. Dive on defense. If anyone remembers?
They counter dive?
Yeah, they counter dive, like they wait fast to engage and then they
right.
dive our
You
backline
think...
or they dive the divers.
Yeah, so you think they like counter dive, but there's one thing that you're forgetting. What's the objective of 2CP?
Hold the point.
Cap the point, right? How can a dive team cap the point? Like, defend the point, sorry. Defend the point. I know how they cap the point, but how can they defend a point properly? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like they don't have a real good way of defending the point. They just roll through and contest every so often. See what I mean? If you can make a fight last as long as possible, that's a really good way to like capture a point against a dive team, because they'll send one person to like go in and contest. You force them out as like a team, right? And then it's like you're not even diving at that point, right? I know the reason I'm bringing this up is because in general, right, if you're dive and you're against a spam comp or a rush comp, your objective is to dive, right? And if it's 2C, not 2CP, let's say it's control, right? Your objective as dive is to dive their backline, right? And the reason for that is because, the point isn't unlocked. You want to set up, you want to get a quick kill so that you can capture the point, because the point is like a secondary thing in control maps. Do you get that? The point's like a secondary thing. And I know the idea is, the point should always be a secondary objective. You should kill their team first. But what you forget is when a team's on defense, right, on a map like a 2CP map, they all hide. They all set up behind the point. So the point can become your first objective. So what you do is you touch the point, and that gets the enemy team to panic and dive in. It basically forces out a dive from them because they're like, oh shit, the point's being captured. That is how you can force out an enemy dive. And what happens is as well is if you do that and then the enemies start to roll in or they start to push in because they're like, oh shit, we need to contest the point. That's when your whole team can jump out and like dive them then, because you're forcing them out of their positions they want to be, forcing a dive from them, and then you get the second dive. And as everyone knows, right, if the first dive, if it's dive be dive, the first team to dive, if they dive well, they win. If they dive badly, the second team wins. So if you can force out an early dive from them by like forcing the point, getting them to panic, jump in, that can be a way you guys can win, because then you dive in after and kill whoever's contesting, or you dive their backline up here. Okay. Now let's see how you guys play this, because honestly, what's the point? If no one comes on the point to contest it, why do you even need to dive their backline at all? You don't. You just cap the point. You see what I mean? Eventually, someone has to come on here and contest the point, right? And when they do that, that's them giving up their position, giving up their flank to dive. They're just a point contester, and then you can, from the point, you can dive in. You know, if you've got Diva on the point, or if you've got Ball on the point to contest, you know, Ball, you can do some kind of grapple up here, and Diva you can just boost up there to like continue with your dive. But what I would say first is always start by contesting the point. Don't just think, right, we need to dive the enemies. That's our only objective. Like that is a really great example. Spunk. Wait, who's Spunk? Is that Ed or someone else?
That's someone else.
Okay. Spunk.
He's not the DPS player anymore. Shimada's the new DPS.
Oh, fine. Wait, wouldn't the projectile DPS be playing Echo anyway?
Yeah, I am playing Echo.
Oh, okay, fine.
Yeah,
So it's like Ed wasn't here.
It was
Okay, do you guys understand what Spunk did wrong here?
I didn't see.
Anyone know? Okay. You wouldn't even need to see. You just need to see where he died. Okay, he died there. What did he do wrong here? So basically, his plan, right, was to go this way and then flank them from up these stairs, right? That was his plan. The problem was he didn't scout what they were doing. If he knew the whole team was already there because they were playing super defensive, then he can do that, right? Then he can't do that, right? If their whole enemy team is all set up there, you know, one there, and they're set up quite aggressively and pushed up, right? Then he can go for this flank because, you know, the back is going to be defended. But you need to know where the enemies are hiding first. And this might just be a mistake because he didn't know that. He didn't scout. But yeah, he tried to go for that off-angle flank, and now he died for it. If he dies, what's the enemy team going to do?
Start to push up, take positions to dive us.
Yeah, so they're going to get this more aggressive style. And this is where you make that decision. Are the enemies playing on these aggressive positionings, pushing up, playing like on the half of the map? If they are, you dive first. If the enemies are playing all back here, like they were at the start, point contest, right? You've got an idea of like two different options of how you can do this. And I get you're getting your team set up, and you should now wait, right? You've lost your tracer. You should now wait until you get set up. So you're baiting out dives from the Ball and the tracer, but obviously, Chemist, the problem here is you've lost your tracer. Now you're just wasting time. You're going to die at this stage. I mean, maybe you get out, right? This is good, right? If you can get out, this is good. Ball gameplay. Good. So that's good to get out. Obviously, you are on low health. You're on half health, and you've wasted your shield ability. So what I would do is go and get another health kit as well, and just tell your team to wait. Spunk should not, or Ed, right? Again, why is he taking this when it's just a 1v3? He's just giving up his position. He'll have to give up his recall. He can just wait here or wait wherever, ready to kind of go in and do this dive. But what's the problem, Chemist, that you did there? You went in their backline, right? You rolled all the way through here, went all the way into their backline. You're in a kind of diving position. It's the same thing as I said before. Why do you need to dive? So it's okay to be there as long as you tell Even to just start contesting the point. When she contests the point, what's going to happen?
They're going to push up.
They're going to try and dive Even. And when they try and dive Even, what do you do if you're there?
I can just completely destroy the Zen because they
just dive in properly with your tracer. You and the tracer come out, right? So you Chemist and Ed are waiting, right, for the enemies to dive in, not knowing where you are, forgetting where you are, and then you go in with that proper dive, yeah? And all they're doing is just trying to contest Even on the point. Even, what's your job?
Touch the point, make them come to me.
Yeah, and don't die. Touch the point, make them come to you, make them waste their time on you, and don't die. So to do that, you can either boost up here, you can boost up here and get some healing, you can use the corner and constantly like go in and out to block bullets, you can go inside, grab a health kit. It's don't die and contest the point. If that's not what Chemist is doing and Chemist wants to set up in the backline, that's your job. Who else is here? Who's SHG, by the way?
Is the off-tank sub.
Other off-tank.
Oh, okay, fine, right.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so you know what Even has to do, so you know what you would have to do. And then finally, Shimada, you're the Echo, right? What would you do here in this scenario? What are you? Are you a diver or are you a counter diver? What's your job?
I could maybe assist with the dives, with the slams from the wall. Maybe.
You are similar to an off-tank's default role. So an off-tank's default role is to be in the middle and to either counter dive or to dive in, right? You're similar to that. And it shows by the line you're taking. Look at this line. You're in line with your off-tank. You're in the same position. You're in the middle. You're ready to go in or you're ready to go out. It depends on what the plan is, okay?
Yeah.
But just remember this, and this is one thing teams do wrong. Chemist, you do not have to go in if the enemies aren't going to contest even, right? So even it's pretty much up to you to call if someone comes to start contesting you on the point. If they just wait and they never do anything, just cap the point and win, right? You can win the whole point at that stage by literally just everyone being AFK and like hiding the whole time. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
At some point, they're not stupid. They're going to come onto the point, and when they do that, and you see them use abilities to dive after you, even so, that's another thing, even as well. An SHG, you two are trying to force out the enemy abilities, so you want them to like grapple in, you want them to blink in, you want them to use boosters, so that they can't go back immediately and do a counter dive. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't want them to just bait to contest you and then go back immediately, right? And then counter dive and kill your chemist and tracer. But if they do that, right? If they counter dive and they do that, what should you do even? Or
They like, go back and
Shimada.
counter dive.
Yeah. So let's say this scenario happens. I want to see what they actually do. Let's just watch what they actually do first.
Okay.
So you're contesting the point. This is great so far. Ball will come in, guaranteed.
Yeah.
Chemist, what's gone wrong?
I went too early. I didn't
This
wait
is
for the call that they're going in. Yeah.
This is the massive mistake, right? Even your tracer isn't going in, right? He shouldn't be on half HP ever because he contested at the stairs. He should be hiding. You need to hide, right? You went in way too early here. Why do you need to go in and slam if your objective isn't to dive? Your objective is to just cap the point. That's the objective of the game, right? You don't need to do this. And this is now a huge problem. This whole fight is now, the whole plan is now ruined, because what happens is if they kill you here or they force you out, they can dive properly and there's no dive that comes in from the back, right? So they can all dive now on even. Can you see what they're doing now, right? They forced you out, they've ignored you, and now everyone is looking at the people on the point. But they did this really slowly, right? They turned around way too slowly, and you've already got the ball to half health. So this could be a kill on this ball with the Discord.
I wasted my boosters here, so I'm.
No, it's a kill. It's a kill. Yeah, this is good, right? So this is a mistake from the enemies from just hiding too much, basically paying too much attention to you, Chemist, trying to kill you, and almost they started chasing you, and they're like, actually, we should go back to the point. By the time they even looked at the point, their ball was already dead. They did that too slowly. But this was really, really good from everyone else, right? It worked out well, Chemist, so that's good. You know, the enemies were noobs, worked out well, and they basically tunnel visioned onto you. They were like, oh, a ball, let's chase after him, right? Like, it worked out well. Against good teams, this is not what's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
But good from everyone else. The only problem I'm seeing here is what? What's the problem here? From the supports.
They dropped.
Is low, and they dropped.
Yeah, why did they drop? Why? What's the point? Do you want to go back and see when they dropped?
I think
I want to because I
they
didn't say.
to help on the ball. I think that was like I don't know what was in their mind.
But why do you need to drop to help on the ball? Every player. Oh wait, what? What is like? I don't know, man. No, this makes no sense. This literally makes like negative sense. I don't know why Ang is doing that, but I just don't see like this doesn't make any sense going down here. Like it just doesn't make any sense. I don't know. Ask Ang. I would really actually like to know. Maybe he has a good idea, right? But to me, this is pointless, right? Why can't you just be up here and help with the ball? But here, it's so much easier to discord the ball because you can see over like cover. Whereas if you're here, you have to like jump up, and it's like you're more likely to get shot. This is you're far away. Discord can be used across the map. So much safer. Does that make sense? Okay. And also, what's the problem now with Zen going down here between Zen and the
brig? From his brig. That might be why Brig dropped, because he saw that his Zen.
No, I get that. Maybe. Yeah, 100%. That's why I'm not. I do is fine here, right? I do is absolutely fine here. This is the position he should be in. The only problem with I do here is he didn't notice the Zen rotating round. This is literally his only job. He should be glued to this Zen. And this is I do at this point should have either said to the Zen, what are you doing? Come back up, right? Or if Zen had a good idea, then he should have followed the Zen and gone with him. So either way, whatever the idea is, there's one of them is making a mistake. Okay. If Zen had a brilliant idea, I do isn't glued to him, and this is a mistake. And if I do was like just stay on high ground and Zen didn't have a good idea, Zen should have still been up there, right? Shouldn't have done this rotation. Does that make sense? I have a feeling there was no reason for Zen to go, or there wasn't a good enough reason. That's my feeling. But yeah. So just stay on high ground. Remember where the point is. The point is here. High ground up here allows you to see the whole point, and this is the objective. It doesn't matter what happens behind here. Anything that happens behind the point is what? What's the like Shimoda? I'll start asking random questions, see if people know.
Yeah.
Anything that happens behind the point. What's the purpose of this? Anything that happens behind here. Let's say if it's not a dive.
Like stabilizing.
No, it's to distract. It's to distract. And
Yeah.
while all this shit is happening, the point's being captured. Anything that happens behind here is like a distraction, right? If you have a dive comp, right? If you have like a spam comp, it's a bit different, but you can still almost say that's the same thing. It's just a distraction. It's just a waste time because then you slowly cap the point and win. The whole point of this is to cap the point. So that's all you need to do, okay?
Yeah.
And so far, even really good job there. Shimada, really good job. These are good positionings. Support's bit out of sync. Tracer, you already know, or Tracer already knows. Ed, I'm sure. Ed, what would you do, by the way, if you were in this game instead? Ed?
I would,
I thought he's... How would you take this? Like, how would you do it?
First of all, I would have like waited. Yeah, like don't go in like that spontaneous CCS half health and reveal.
Yep.
Just maintain hidden until I waited for Kemi's call to go in.
Yeah, fine. And then you can peek out and blink in. You don't have to fully blink in, by the way.
Yeah.
Remember, Chemist is how you want to play it. Are you doing this as a proper dive because half of their team is running to contest the point, or are you like just wasting their time so we can slowly cap the point? So in this scenario, you did the waste time strategy. And that's why I said against good teams, this is going to work. Because against good teams, right, if you waste time, they're going to kill you and then immediately all come onto the point and just like stop even a tick from being captured. They'll do it so fast, okay? If your strategy is to just waste time, you don't need to go for slams. Just roll through, try and boot them off, like waste time like that. You don't need to slam, right? If the moment you slam, you're committing to like, and that's when you die, right? Slamming is what causes wrecking balls to die because it's just so slow and they can set up for a stun, set up for a discord, shoot you for longer, blah, blah, blah. If you're just stalling, you just roll through, grapple, whatever, right? That's all you need to do, okay? But yeah, I know you were trying to go for, the slam is for the dive, so I know you were trying to go for the dive here. No need, right? Either distract or you dive once the enemy team all comes to contest the point. The only reason, by the way, I can ever see Brig being on the low ground, dropping down and leaving the Zen up here is what? When should Brig ever drop down to the point and leave the Zen on the high ground?
Stun the ball to commit.
Yep, stun the ball. So that is the only time where it's okay. Also, if the enemy, you know, Tracer or the Sombra never goes on the Zen, right? If they're ready to go on the Zen and it's kind of scary, then I understand the like Brig staying up here, right? And if the Zen's idea was, right, we're going to both drop down from here to help with so we can stun the ball, but I don't want to be up high ground by myself because then I'll die to like Tracer, then I can understand it. It's just the thing that I had the big problem with is Zen just going like this way around. This just doesn't make any sense. You can just drop down like that and get a quick stun and discord on the ball if you do want to like commit to that ball kill. But just remember, the moment they drop down, that's when it's like free for them to get dived. But yeah, Tracer was setting up to do the high ground blink over here because she came from this window. So it is like you need both of them together, basically. Okay, anyway, you saw what happened. Tracer tries to go on here. Brig is split. I don't know why Brig was under here. Doesn't really make any sense. Again, Idu needs to be up forward if he's looking for the stun or right next to the Zen. Either one, right? One or the other. That's the two objectives. Okay, you've booped off Diva, but Diva flies up. That's fine. You're just capping the point. That's okay. Right, who's contesting the point now?
Tracer.
Who's your target then?
Tracer.
Yep, absolutely. Force Tracer to recall. If Tracer recalls, by the way, she'll no longer contest the point. New target. Right, I haven't seen this replay before. If this Tracer recalls, who's going to contest the point? I can tell just by the positions of the enemies. Yep, exactly. Right. Exactly, simple as that. You can just tell because she's looking at the point. She knows that the Tracer's on there contesting. If Tracer stops to contest and the point starts to making the sound of ticking up, she has to go down there to contest.
And she's gonna
I mean, and you know because
because
she's the only tank.
Yeah, she's gonna come for me because she's
Because you're low.
health.
Right, why did you get low health, by the way?
The Tracer, I think?
Yeah, but you haven't used enough boosters. you haven't used enough boosters. You save your boosters too much. Boost
Yeah.
into the tracer. Boost away. Boost up. Right? If you've done this stuff, you're not just a standing like target that just is like a training ground for the enemy team to just Kovacs you, right? You need to
Yeah.
boost more, make yourself harder to hit, right? And also make yourself more likely to, or not more likely, make yourself more of a like an aggressive target and more like adaptable and just quicker. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because also if you boost over to the tracer, you can force her out, pick up the health kit, come back out, boost yourself over to here, back with your team. You've taken so much damage because if we go back, you'll see how kind of static you were. You just didn't even use your
Yeah.
boosters once.
I think because I'm just like so in my mind,
Look.
I'm like, okay, I have to watch out for my Zenyatta, I have to capture the point, I have to watch
But
out
you're
for
not.
the
You're
others
not.
to come. But
The
yeah.
problem is all you're doing is tunnel visioning and trying and just firing bullets at these enemies. Remember, firing bullets from that distance does nothing. The only reason you're doing that is to basically scout what the enemy's HPs are, and that's it, and provide a bit of a distraction, right?
Oh, I
but
think it was the Sombra that I was shooting at that she couldn't get the hack out or something. I think that's
okay,
what it did.
fine, right? But add the boosters to that, right? The less you boost, the easier it is for you to hit, the more damage you'll take. Okay, boosters have a really low cooldown, and if your plan, what is your job so far that we've said since the start? It's just to cap the point, so you can use boosters and just take yourself boost over to here, boost over to here, boost over to here, as long as it's on the point or around the point, doesn't matter. And if someone else is on the point, like Shimada, if he's on the point, you can like boost over to the health kit, whatever, boost over to supports to get some healing, take some cover. The only disadvantage of you on the point is that you take loads of damage. So make yourself take as less damage as possible. Jump around. Remember, when you're shooting, you're slow. So boost and shoot simultaneously if you're looking to shoot, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, you've taken all of this damage because you've basically become such an easy target and you're a big target, right? Now, if you boost away to get healed, what's the problem here? What's boosting up here do? What's wrong with it?
No one is up here.
No one's up here. So you expected the supports to be up here, but right. So it's both of your mistakes. You should have remember. You need to know where the supports are. If they're down here, you shouldn't be boosting up here. You need to know where they are. Right. That means you've tunnel vision too much. Okay. But this not only your mistake, it's the support's mistakes from dropping off of high ground. But if they had a plan, if their plan was to go for that wrecking ball stun, which they didn't do anyway, right? I was like over here. That's fine, right? But if that was the plan, then you should know that they're there and you go back to the supports so that you get healing and you get cover. And they're using this as cover, so it's good. Yeah, up here. I mean, there's no cover here, right? So you can still if they just aim at you, you're still demeched here, right? You've used a boost and you're still in demech position. Anyway, you drop down there. That's good, right? So you realize they're there and you drop down. You shouldn't. Again, as I said, the only extra thing is just know it earlier. Right. That's a bit of a problem. Hold on. Okay, let's go back.
Oh yeah, that was the idle moment of the pulse bomb.
That's fine. He misplayed, but that's okay.
No, he had it, but then he bashed and then it dropped
Yeah,
off.
yeah, I know, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you can drop off the bomb if you just unshield and shield again, but it becomes a bit weird. It's very odd with Brig. It's not like Reinhardt. If you have to come off the point to get healed, whose next job is it to contest the point? You're doing it already.
We have chemist here, chemist.
Brilliant. Yep, chemist. Roll left and right really fast. You can even hold a grapple to do it faster, but it becomes a bit weird with the grapple. But yeah, roll left and right and just remember you're capping the point for as long as possible. That's your only job. If the enemies are just hiding and they're not contesting the point, you just want to stall on the point as long as possible. But something goes wrong. Wait. So you're doing that and then you roll into this place. I guess I know your idea is to grab the health kit, right? Which is okay. But even now thinks, oh, chemist has come off, so I should go back on. But even you're on half. You need to wait until you're fully healed, or your matrix is up, and then you stand on the point with matrix. The moment chemist comes back on, you rotate. This is literally this is to tank rotation, and you two need to be on the exact same page to do this properly. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
In and out. There's this is a thing that happened with Winston when you did the Winston Diva, right? It's just tank rotation. Yeah, you guys have probably seen it before. Okay, but with Bull it's even easier because Bull has way more HP and can't get headshots, so it's like so easy to do this properly. But yeah, you come back on here, but chemist is also coming back on here. You get really low. You didn't matrix that. You should matrix everything. If you're coming on the point, just for chemist to go and get a health kit and then come back on the point, matrix it all so you don't take any damage and then come back like you do here. And yeah, sadly, this Matrix should have got that bomb. Really, I guess it was just unlucky. But yeah, now the fight is looking bad, right? Because all that extra damage you took got you demeched by like one tracer clip. Again, do you understand how you could have been on full health here? And Chemist, basically, it was a good job to contest the point, but what happened is because of like a combination of misplays, your brig didn't get enough heals. Basically, the heals came out slowly. You went on and off, kind of mistimed it with your teammate. At this point, you kind of died, right? If anyone dies, the enemy team are going to push in like they're doing now, and your tactic of going in and off the point, right, is going to fall apart. If you do this tactic properly, guys, right, if all of you do this tactic properly, both tanks will be almost at full health, right, and no one will be dead on your team. Everyone will be alive. So your Spunk died again really early. Again, that's just his misplay. I think he's got the wrong idea of what your team's objective is, right? He thinks, oh, I'm going to go in. That's not his objective. His objective is to basically anyone who goes on the point. Well, his objective, Ed, by the way, is to do the first thing if you're looking to dive. And then if anyone goes on the point and tries to kill even, you come back and like peel as well. Does that make sense? You can do both, Ed. That's your objective. So Spunk died early. Idu made a big misplay, and both supports were mispositioned and dropped off. And even in Chemist, your two rotations between the point weren't like perfect. Again, how do you know whose turn is it to go on the point? How do you know whether you should be on the point or you should be rotating off the point, and you should go on the point or you should leave the point? How do you know? Tanks.
Your health, like the other person's health.
So knowing when to get off the point is determined by your health, right? If you start taking too much HP or you need to get healing, then you leave the point. How do you know to go on the point? When to go on the point?
Your teammates coming off of it.
Yep, exactly. And you just rotate that non-stop, right? So Chemist and even as well. If you're coming off the point because you're getting healed, where do you go to?
The supports.
And cover. Look for cover.
Supports are going to be in cover. Go to the supports. Supports are in cover always, right? So go to the supports. Yep, that's one way of doing it. And what's another place you could also go, dependent on the map?
If there's a health pack close by, I can grab
a mega health pack. I'm going to tell you now, if you're a tank, mini health packs don't do anything. They're not a good place to go to, right?
Especially as ball, I could just piss off to any old mega health pack nearby.
Yeah, exactly.
And come back
Obviously, Even doesn't have that much time. Again, Even, what's the strategy you can do to stall the point even more so that you get hit the least?
Yeah, go behind cover, recharge Matrix, and go out Matrixing, go behind cover again.
Yeah, but there's one extra thing you can do to get even more point time. You're forgetting about ability. Anyone know?
Maybe the boosters I have.
Yep. Do the booster strategy. Boosters forward, back, really quickly spin. Anyone ever seen that when it's Diva's the last person to contest the point? They just go crazy like that, right? You can do that just to get extra point capture. That's like next level play. People do that to contest when they're the last one to die and they're contesting the point. People do that. But you can also do that to get more point capture if the enemy team are all holding back here and they're not diving in. You can do that to get more point capture while Chemist rolls off, gets a health pack, and come back. So you do the booster thing, right? You land about here, you matrix, do a full matrix, and then you come back to your team. By the time you've done that, by the time you've done a full matrix and you've come back to your like supports, you probably have another boosters. You can do it again if Chemist still isn't back. Does that make sense? And Chemist, what do you do to stall and stay alive on the point as long as possible?
Like just roll backwards and forwards.
Yeah, just roll in like unpredictable directions so you're hard to hit. You can make it a game, right? What you do is, as a team, guys, this might be quite fun. So all like 5 of you all come into this room, and Chemist, you stand on here, and your objective is to survive on the point for like 15 seconds while everyone's shooting at you by doing like crazy like left and right like strafes that are like mental. It'll be a fun game, right? And that is how doing that properly and doing good strafes that actually counter like what enemies think you're going to do can help you survive for even longer on the point. Yeah. Might be an idea to try that, like how to dodge damage as ball, but you might know it already anyway. And you can also use grapple, by the way, to do it. You can do stuff like, Toronto kick up to go up in the air slightly and all this stuff. Like,
I was just thinking about it, and I could like go to the side closest to the mega, 180 rebound off the wall, go into the like barrels on the left of the point, and just like do a big curve up, like wall jump off that, and go back.
Yeah,
to the
you
other
could
side
do that. So remember, if one of you walks off the point for a split second to set up for like a, I don't know, what as you said, to set up for like a cool roll or something, it doesn't matter. You don't have to have someone on the point every millisecond. If you have to come off the point to quickly grab something and go back on it to continue capping the point, that is fine. Okay. Oh, hello, Cake.
Hello.
Wait, is Cake? Cake, are you the Zen?
Cake sang.
Yes, I am.
Yeah. Okay. Or should I go through the thing before? Or should I just continue?
You can
Um,
continue.
Okay. Basically, Ang, what we were saying here is the objective of Volskaya attack, if the enemies are playing dive and you're playing dive, is to rotate your tanks on the point. So have Even on the point, capping it slowly. Then when Even gets low, she comes back to your supports like you and Brig, right? And then Ball goes on the point, contest as long as possible. You heal Even back up with armor and Zen heals, right? And then swaps back out with and you go in and out with the ball, between the ball and the thing, until the enemies commit to a dive. When they commit to a dive, you have two options. You either counter dive or you dive their backline. If they're inside, it's a bit difficult, so it's better. It's best to just do a counter dive. But yeah, does that make sense?
Yep.
That's kind of the plan here. So, anyway, do you guys know? Actually, do a quick rundown, Chemist. Why was this fight lost? What were the most things that like made you lose this fight?
It was the tank rotation wasn't in time properly.
Yep.
There was mistakes that got people picked off, and then they got
Tracer,
and then we got
mistake,
pushed.
and Brig. Yeah, Tracer and Brig.
Me and Even took too much damage.
Yep.
And supports dropped off of high without a known plan, at least.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Also, another thing as well, if you are playing this comp, right, and this is your plan, do you even need an echo? Think about it. What's the point of echo? What is the point of echo?
To blow up people, basically.
In a dive, right?
Oh,
if you're
in a
doing this
dive.
strategy and you're never like doing a proper dive and you're just slowly capping the point, do you even need the echo? Do you see what I mean? I know there's going to be a dive at some point, right? But if the enemies are playing a dive and you guys are playing a dive, echo is great for like diving in and, you know, blowing up their backline. And you will do that at some point, right? When the enemies dive in. But you don't have to have echo, especially if like echo. What's another character you're strong at, Shimada?
Like McCree, perhaps, to play with the backline. Or
You can do
Sombra?
that. Yep, that can work. Yep. Sombra. The problem with Sombra, right? What's the problem with Sombra if the enemy already have a Sombra?
They have like a mega control, maybe.
Yeah, they've already got the hacks off on defense. Defense have advantage
Yeah.
with Sombra because they have the hacks already. You can
Yeah.
steal it off them and you can like hack the mini. And by the way, if you guys are playing a Sombra like this, right? Hacking this mini makes it viable for Chemist to just go in and out like that and just take the mini every time. Okay? If you do that. But as I said, if you're on defense, they will hack this mini and this mega and you'd no longer have that option. Yeah? Wait, is it? Okay, they haven't actually hacked this mini. It's a bit of a mistake from the Sombra, but okay. Another character that you could play.
I don't really know. Like Ash, maybe.
Ash doesn't really work because she just becomes an even bigger dive target, right? Even McCree is kind of like sketchy, right? I'd even prefer like but Soldier's not that good. But like I'd even prefer Soldier. It's just the problem is, right? If you play a character that can be dived and you play with the backline, what does that do to your backline? It puts a bigger target on them.
Target, yeah.
For them to get dived, right? So you're more likely to get dived, and
but more
that's
peel as well. Yeah.
Yeah, but I know it's a double-edged sword, right? But also it means that if your team is ready to counter dive, like let's say you picked McCree, right? And you guys know now that your backline is really likely to get dived if you start capping the point. Even in Chemist, you two just get ready to counter dive, and then as soon as the boost comes in or the ball rolls in or anything like that, bang, that's easy. One thing you guys need to remember this, right? One thing, and this is for Cake and Shimada, if you are playing McCree. If you're up here, right?
Yeah.
What do you need to worry about if the enemy have a ball?
Like you're shutting down the slams, maybe? Or
No, there's
Getting
that as well, obviously.
behind. Like
Yes,
getting
that's it.
behind.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A ball rolling into you like this and booping you onto the point and then coming in with a slam and then just killing you. That's what we have to look out for. How do you counter that?
Scouting, like
Yep,
getting-
listening, just
yeah.
using audio. If you use game audio, right, you can hear a ball rolling up from behind you. Remember, guys, this is one thing I mentioned in another lesson, like last lesson. I think chemist, you were there, right? That lesson about the audio.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember, guys? All audio that you hear of in the game is most likely enemies. Enemy audio in this game is louder if you're not talking about like ultimate voice lines, right? Enemy audio is louder, right? So guys up there, Cake and Shimada, if you're up there, if you hear a ball rolling, it's the enemy ball, right? Friendly ball rolling sounds are so quiet, and if there's two rolling sounds together, the louder one is always the enemy ball. The one you hear is always the enemy ball. So if you hear rolling, it's enemy ball. If it's coming from behind you, look behind you. Simple as that. Yeah?
Yeah.
And that will stop you from getting booped off because you'll hear a ball rolling. As soon as ball goes into this room, you'll hear it. And then once you hear that, what do you do to stop getting booped off? You stand in this doorway because you can shoot him, but also one boop isn't enough to push you off. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so or you just turn around and McCree stun him and Briggs stun him and then kill him, right? With a Discord, you can if you all turn around, you can kill him. You need to be on the same page for that. Anyway, let's go to the next fight. Speed up. Okay, right. What's different about this next fight? Anyone?
They're
We know they
playing
have
more
Sombra.
aggressive by default.
And
Yep,
we know
so-
what they play.
Yep. So you know what they play, and they have ultimates. This is the thing, right? What ultimates have you scouted out or called out?
Probably EMP. We've probably guessed that they
Yep.
have mines,
I
which
think
they
we
don't.
went-
But
Yeah, we went
That's
in
fine,
knowing
but-
they had EMP.
That's the main one, right? Remember what I said earlier about the whole point of Sombra is just to charge up EMP. The first fight you had a really good chance of like winning and capping the point, but there was like mistakes there and a bit slow, blah blah blah. This fight, if they get a good EMP, it's just over. I hate EMP so much because there's just no like you have to basically use mechanical skill or like perfect positioning to counter it or scouting, right? Basically, the best way to counter EMP is to scout Sombra before she's like, you know, even EMP'd. Does that make sense? So that's up to basically you, Diva, to scout the Sombra. And that's fine. You just shoot everywhere. You just walk up, like shoot, holding down the fire button everywhere. Spin around in circles. Also, another thing as well. The best way to... Oh, God, have I gone forward or back? I don't even know. No, that's back. Did I go forward or back? Okay, here, cool. Okay, the best way to know where Sombras are hiding for the MP is what to do? How do you know that? Anyone?
Well, I didn't understand the question.
So, what is, if you're the scouter of Sombra, right? What's the best positions to scout for? Like, how do you know which positions to scout for? What's the best way to learn?
look at what like pro Sombras where they hide.
Yeah. Watch
okay.
Sombra gameplay. Watch Sombra gameplay. That's it, right? And it is weird because it's like, well, you're watching for another hero, but it makes a massive difference. The best way to learn how to counter a character is to play the character yourself and see how you get countered. Does that make sense? But you don't even need to play the character. You just watch Sombra gameplay and watch where they hide. And those are the first places you scout. The moment you force out the Sombra, that's either a kill or that's time for you guys to rotate in. Basically, forcing out the Sombra gives you a window of like 5 seconds to like push up and get a better position to actually push up. Because if you push up while the Sombra is ready to EMP, you could die at any second the moment the Sombra presses EMP. Nice Tracer 1v1. Sombra is waiting. Here. Let's see what your plan is, guys. Chemist, what am I going to say?
I shouldn't be taking the fight up there.
You're doing what the Tracer did. Why not
Yeah.
just roll past and go up these stairs and this sets you up behind? You see what I mean? You can go in here.
Yeah.
Why these stairs are obviously blocked, so go somewhere else basically. You might do that. Let's see. Tracer is going to force you out. Okay. This is a problem for the Tracer. Like, she shouldn't be going in even to that Discord to pulse bomb kill someone, right? She should be helping you with the Tracer that's forcing you out. Does that make sense? that Ed, that's kind of your job as well. Remember, you're hiding back with Ed, or with Chemist. If Chemist is getting forced out by the Tracer, just help him with the force out, right? You're taking this like 2v2, Bull versus Tracer. Yeah? And then if Even goes onto the point, and this is like, and starts contesting, and then she says, guys, they're coming after me on the point, you just ignore the Tracer, and you guys just go into their backline immediately. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Right, you just ignore the Tracer and just roll past her. You can kill her on the way, or boop into her on the way, but yeah. So this is a bit of a mistake from Sponk, and yeah, you should have come up the stairs in the first place. And yeah, Sponk should be helping you make the rotation. Or Ed, you should be doing that. What's another problem I'm going to say? What's going on here? What's going on?
We
This
don't
isn't
really
a problem.
seem to know where we're going.
Actually,
What the plan is.
Cake, what's the plan here? Was this position a rotation something that like was called out, or do you have like an idea of something to do?
I'm pretty sure it's called out to go right side.
Oh, okay. What's the benefit and the disadvantage of going through here? This can work, but this is almost like a.
I guess would be I can more easily assist in dives.
It would also
actually
be
not really.
like
Not really. You can't.
Not really, no.
more cover,
Yeah,
less
so I can-
sidelines, right?
Right, more cover, and it's inside. What does inside counter? What have I always said is the
Dive.
count.
Dive.
Yep. Going inside is the easiest counter to dive. If you're against a dive team, right, and your job is to not get dived, you just think, right, where's the nearest inside? There you go. You win, like automatically. That's it, right? So this is your advantage there. The problem is, what are you guys playing? Dive, right? So not only are you stopping getting dived, you're also making dives harder, right? If your Echo was in here with you guys, how is she meant to dive? She has to go up here, and now she's by herself, right? So she can get like focused and like die on the way. Do you see what I mean, right? And obviously, even again from inside, you remember think about how hard it is to dive from an inside area. Where can you dive from? Even one position, you can boost in this way, right? And on the way, that means you can get booped because you're just getting funneled. Does that make sense? So you take more damage, and it's harder to do like proper dives. Does that make sense? That's why inside is really bad for dive. Okay, so let's see this. So your objective now, guys, is to go for like you're basically diving or looking for a dive on their backline. And this isn't too bad, right? If you knew that the Sombra was there, this is actually a good play if this was the plan, right? You know, because you're forcing the Sombra to have to come inside here to EMP. And if she does that, right, again, remember, the biggest counter to dive or like an EMP is to go inside as well, because it's easier to scout her if you're inside. It's like one big line. You're gonna like reveal her cloak and then, you know, maybe stun her or kill her before she EMPs. Blah blah blah. So this isn't terrible, right? It's actually better, but you can also dodge EMPs. And yeah, she can still get hacks on you. I mean, this is the mistake I said, right? Shimada, should you be up here diving like here if your team's going in here?
No.
Not really. You should,
Yeah.
if the team's plan, right, is to go inside because you want to dodge an EMP, right, go with them. Just go with them. Best way to counter an EMP is to all be like I say. Okay, that's a bad thing to do, right? I say the best way to counter an EMP is to all be together. No, it's to be inside. But being inside all together, yeah, it's fine. You could counter an EMP as long as you're all inside. That's fine. The moment one of you's outside, you'll get hacked. The moment more than one of you's outside, you get EMP'd, right, together. Okay.
Yeah.
So you probably die here because of that. Let's see. I mean, Spunk said to help, but I still think you die. If they're good, if they can aim, okay,
Yeah,
they
I
can't
got
aim.
off the loop. Yeah.
Incredible that they didn't kill you. Like that's some
Yeah.
D-tier aiming from the enemy, whatever, Tracer and Bolt, I don't know. But yeah, at this point, the fight is just chaos, right? Spunk is dead. I have a feeling, right? Ed, do you know why Spunk keeps on dying? Do you want to watch it again? There's something he hasn't noticed. He keeps on going for something that he can't get. What is it?
The 1v1s or the health packs.
He keeps on. Maybe his idea wasn't. Maybe he was just trying to run away from a Sombra or whatever chasing him, or it wasn't Sombra. It was Tracer. You shouldn't ever run away from a Tracer. She's just going to catch you. It's Tracer, right? I know you're Tracer as well, but if you run away, she'll catch you, and unless you're blinking to your teammates like your supports, that's okay, right? But yeah, don't run away. And I have a feeling she just keeps on trying to come into this room to grab a health kit, and then seeing it's hacked, and then dying, right? It's happened twice now, maybe. But yeah, you're now taking this fight one down, right? Your Tracer's dead first again. It's a Tracer. I don't know how Tracer's dying first, right? But that doesn't matter. Okay, the EMP comes out. You're expecting this, and you bait out an EMP, which is great. The only problem is, right? What's the problem here? What caused all of you to just the fight to just turn into like chaos? What was it? Was there something that stood out that caused the fight to turn into chaos? Basically, the fight turned into chaos because all of you dropped down to here from here. Why did you all drop down and change your mind? Because something happened.
I didn't pay that much attention at that point. I was
It's because
thinking
Echo got hacked. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I was
Oh,
because
okay.
I
That's
dropped
pretty
down
much
to
it.
help Echo. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you drop down, then the supports end up dropping down. Everyone dropped down here, and now you're basically doing the first plan about the going on the point and slowly contesting it, but you're doing it in the middle of the fight. You're like swapping over, and that's not like it's not always terrible, but you're starting the fight at a disadvantage because your Echo's hacked and your Trace is dead, right? So it's like you're just again taking this fight at another disadvantage. The plan got ruined basically because of a Sombra hack. Stay inside. Harder for Sombra to hack you. Harder for you to get dived.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this fight is lost. I don't see you guys getting any kills here, and this fight is lost, and it's just a reset. Good play from you even to drop out there knowing the fight was over. Let's watch the next fight. Let's see. Do you guys remember what the plan was for the next fight?
I don't.
That's fine. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't either. Like, it's hard to remember that stuff. Right, so you see this Sombra in there, and you know the Sombra's used EMP. If Sombra uses, they do an EMP fight, what else are they going to have in the next fight? This is like a tip for I do, I guess. Probably the rest.
If they didn't use anything,
Yep.
it's going to be everything.
Yeah, so it's a rotation, right? You do EMP, then every other ult. Then EMP, then every other ult. That's how good EMP is, by the way. It's the equivalent of 5 ults. It's just ridiculous, right? Good EMP is the equivalent of 5 ults. So that's why I say the way to counter EMP is to either scout her before she EMPs and force her out, or just all go inside and just hold inside together, right? But yeah, even an EMP when you're all inside, right? If she doesn't get scouted, like you're all EMP'd and you get dived, you're all dead, right? But that's 2 ways to stop a proper EMP. So, EMP is used. What's the plan here? What should the plan be here, Chemist or Even or whoever? If they have the rest of the ults.
Probably 4 or like maybe either like push in and bait out as many ults as possible, but it's gonna be our last.
Well, I dry fight.
Yeah, but it is gonna be our last fight most likely. So we.
If you push in fast enough, this isn't your last fight. If you push in fast enough, but yeah.
I'd probably opt to just like poke around the point, make them come to us.
Yeah,
force
do the first strategy.
Force them to use their ults in bad ways.
Yeah, good. The first strategy.
Like especially the support ult, we should force out the support ult as bad and as fast as possible, so they don't.
Yeah, like at this point, Chemist, you can roll into them from behind, and they might panic and use the support ult. I mean, they also might kill you, so be careful. But yeah, I prefer here the first strategy, which is the just go on the point and slowly cap it, right? Because what happens there is what do the enemies do? If you're slowly capping the point, they panic, they dive in, and they use your ults. They use their ults to dive in, and as they're diving in and using their ults, you just back up and like hide and get them to waste 1 ult at a time. The problem is if they slowly use all their ults, they just stall it and wait. The time's ticking down, so like that can work for them as well. That's a counter. You need to try and get them to waste their ults and counter with your own ults, basically. That's a good thing to mention, by the way. If your plan is to like get them to force their ults and waste them or use their ults badly by like going on the point and getting them to panic, right? What you do is when they waste an ult, you counter with an ult. Then they use another ult, then you counter with an ult. Does that make sense? Try that. Always use an ult after they've used their ult. If you can do that before anyone's died, you'll end the fight at an advantage, right? Because you'll always be 1 ult up at the end. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Try that. Well, what's going on here? What's the play here? You're now taking the fight to them. Is this a good thing to do?
No, because we don't
No,
need.
they have the inside. They're on defense, right? They have the advantage. Defenders technically have an advantage, right? If it's dive beat dive in the dive. So what's the point of doing this? I'd literally rather you guys all be on the point as 5, like it's like comp at like bronze level, right? I'd rather that you cap the point faster, right? It's not a good thing, right? Because you want the supports on high ground, right? And you want the echo. I mean, echo, you and Diva can be on the point together. I'm not even against that. And even Tracer, you could have 3 of you on the point. 3 max, obviously. The supports should then be either hiding here or up high ground or hidden somewhere ready to peek out. That sort should happen. Okay? But yeah, Chemist, if you're stalling really well and you're like, guys, go on the point, I'm like distracting them, they're chasing after me, you say that, Chemist, 3 of you, those 3 that I've just mentioned, get on the point and start capping it. And then as soon as someone comes to contest, kill. It does. It happens a lot, by the way.
I think
that happens against bad teams.
That I called it.
It looks like it's this fight. Yeah. Let's see. So Spunk. Oh, I mean Ed. This would be you, right? What's the problem here, though?
I got hacked in the middle of point.
No, that's not a problem.
Going,
it doesn't
right?
matter if you get
they're
hacked.
They're all going.
This doesn't make any sense, does it? Does this make sense? Chemist, the moment you come back onto the point, the whole enemy team is going to be looking at you. You're the big one that they were all just looking at. The moment you come back onto the point, they're all going to be looking at you and they're like, oh shit, they're capping the point, let's go, right? Also...
I think, remember we went behind there because the brick was low and we went for the brick that was back there discarded, if I remember it correctly.
Right. I mean, fine. Okay, but not fine at the same time, because why? What's the problem? Who's not with you that should be with you?
Tracer?
Yeah. Tracer needs to come with you as well. You only need 1 person on the point, right? The difference between 1 and 2 is nothing. Tracer needs to be with you here, or like, and actually assisting you with the dive in, because this is a dive, right? This is the dive with the whole team, and that's okay to do. What you're doing now, by the way, guys, is the equivalent of going up into this room and through that. It's the same thing, right? But this is just an outside version. But it doesn't matter because there's no EMP, so an outside version is fine. Okay. So this is okay to do. And if the whole team is doing this, Chemist, then you can be the one to cap the point. You're swapping over. Do you see? You're swapping your roles over. But yeah, all of you doing this, if it was all of you and no one was on the point, this is just a waste of time, right? Because you're not capping the point and the enemies are just going to like run away from you. But let's see if you actually get this kill. It's going to be hard to kill an ulted brig, but if she runs into you like that, then it's going to be easy. What the fuck? Okay. Bad ult, really bad minds there. That was just a misplay from the enemy. That's fine. But yeah, okay. That's fine. You got the Brig kill, and now you guys are coming back and doing the original plan. This worked out in your favor because Brig, for some reason, didn't go up with their team and ran into you. But yeah, that's fine. You're probably gonna cap this. Ult comes out. How do you counter an ult?
Just back up and hide.
How did I say earlier? Yep, with an ult. So if a Zen ult comes out, what do you do, Zen? Counter with your own ult. Yep, you trans 1 second later. Using ults later than the enemy ults just gives you the advantage, okay? Yeah, so that's all you have to do here. Chemist, using the mines here was not a good idea. Why?
Because they're chanced.
Don't counter an enemy ult with an ult that gets countered by it. You're just playing into the counter. Does that make sense? So all you need to do when the trans was heard is then wait for 1 second, trans yourself, go on the point, right? It keeps the fight, it stays even, but you have the extra 1 second of trans, so you have a tiny bit of an advantage where you're all slightly higher than the enemies in terms of HP. Yeah, does that make sense? Everyone understand that about the 1 second ult. Counter the enemy ult with your own version 1 second later. So, for example, if Brig ults on the enemy team, you can Brig ult 1 second later if needed. You don't have to use it. Like here, I kept it, and that's good, right? The enemy Brig was an idiot, didn't do anything, so it's fine. But yeah. Good, really good play there from Ang. Right, how do you counter a trans? You diva bomb, right? How do you diva bomb?
You diva bomb.
Yeah.
Sort of, yeah. You have to diva bomb properly though, because otherwise you end up blowing yourself up, right? But yeah, okay. It's exactly what's happening, right? One ult happens, you counter it with another ult, you counter it with the same ult, another ult comes up. It just goes on forever. But yeah, you don't have boosters, so there's no need to counter it with the diva bomb. I mean, you guys win this anyway, as long as the target focus is correct. Who should the target be here?
The ball.
Yes. Why?
He's half and discorded, and he's just slammed.
And he's focusing the Zen.
Who's not looking at the ball? Both tanks
Everyone?
and Tracer. Both tanks
Oh.
and Tracer. Brig looking at the ball, right? I mean, she might be armor packing. Zen looking at the ball. Chemist, you're looking at Diva. Even, you're looking at Diva. Tracer, looking at Diva. See? It's just the directions. I mean, technically, even Shimada is, but I don't know how you got here, by the way.
I think it's because
fine.
she was called like Diva was the target call here. That's why everyone is looking at her.
Okay. But yeah, Ball should be the target because he's half and discorded and trying to kill the Zen, but that's fine. Zen might be able to just solo him, to be honest. Watch. Easy. Right, Zen just got it solo. Didn't even need it. Insane. I mean, you win this fight. So why did you win this fight? The enemy with 2 massive ultimates. Enemy with the Diva, the Brig ult, because Brig, for some reason, instead of going up the stairs, she just jumped down and ran into you. Mental, right? And the Bull randomly used his ultimate here and got half of his mines disappeared. So yeah, that's why you won the fight. So you had ult advantage, and then you just ulted with your own counter version, apart from the Brig. Now you have Brig ult. What ult would you ult track here, by the way?
Tracer.
What ult would the enemy
not
have?
Sombra,
We'd
Sombra.
probably say
That's it.
EMP, yeah.
Yeah, that's it, right? Remember, it's
Because they
EMP,
use
then
ult,
every
like-
other ult. Then EMP.
Yeah.
If you don't even want to track, you just say it's EMP, then every other ult. I mean, you should track, right? You need to know what they used because they might have EMP and something else. Does that make sense? But yeah, that's usually the rotation of Sombra comps. Yeah, Sombra EMP needs to be like removed from the game. Charges it too fast, and it's just too game winning. Oh, I didn't see how you got demec'd actually.
I got Tracer bombed. She sticked the bomb.
Right. What's the problem here? What am I going to say?
I don't have the mech, and I should have killed myself and get the mech back from spawn, but for some reason I didn't.
So that's one thing, yeah, but that's not the main thing.
Early. I went too early.
Right. So there's right. This is let's start this from the start. So if Even's not in the mech, what do you guys need to wait for before you do anything at all?
The mech.
100%, guys. This is like playing 5v6, right? You need to wait for the mech. And this isn't Even's problem, right? You get demechs for every reason, right? Yeah, you could have jumped off the map because it's a map you can jump off. That's fine. But just wait for the mech, right? It's fine to wait for the mech. The problem here is, Chemist, you go in and get booped off, I think, right? And then I do ults. Like, this makes no sense. This is 2 wastes. This is a death and a... This I do ult is absolutely, completely wasted, right? Because you've got no tanks. And you've ulted with no tanks. Like, this is over. This fight is over already, right? And you've just ulted. So, oh yeah, not... But I do is just ulted. So yeah, wait for the Diva mech. And Chemist, don't go in either.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is pointless now. By the way, if this does happen, let's say I do misclicks, right? Maybe he misclicked. What should you guys do? Keep the ult, right? Hide. Make sure you don't get hit. Keep the ult. Wait for your ball to come back in and go in quickly when the ult's still active, okay? That's what you can do if the ult is misclicked. What's your plan here, Chemist, by the way? Okay. Do you know what to do on second point? Sorry.
Wait, me specifically or the team?
Well, I mean, you, if you're the shot caller, but the team in general, what's everyone's job or plan for second point?
I was planning on going behind to get their attention and kite them around a bit so that we had a little bit more breathing room to push in through the top right.
Yep.
That was my plan. But I got
one
caught
thing you
and
know.
duped.
One thing you notice about second point is it's a lot harder to do the strategy than first point because half of the team holds back. I understand that, but the other, it's like too far back the point. Does that make sense? So if the point's too far back like that, you can do the original plan, right? And the original plan is going for a dive on your back, the enemy backline, or baiting out a dive and doing a counter dive. Okay, that's the original dive plan. Okay. So see how this goes. So you're setting up Chemist, and that's fine, but you're setting up where the enemies are. This is just unlucky, right? You set up and the whole enemy team was there, right? You need to kind of know that. I mean, that's just scouting, right? It's not really unlucky. There's always a reason for everything that goes wrong. So this is just mis-scouting. Your team didn't scout properly. You didn't scout properly, blah, blah, blah. You get the idea? You're going to get hacked. You're dead, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
There's no way you survive unless they just miss. No, you're dead. A kill on the Tracer doesn't mean anything. If your baller's dead, you can't go in. But yeah, if your team's looking to go in quickly because I do use his ult, right? Why not just go in like main Chemist? Do you see what I mean? Is there a reason you're going around the outside like that?
I wanted to go at the top and then come from the right side and roll through their backline
Well,
to get
you
their
don't
attention.
remember. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, but the problem is, right, you don't need to do that if you're against another dive comp, because they're
Yeah.
going to be like, they can get back to you immediately and they can chase you if you go off by yourself. So it's honestly better a lot of the time, especially on the second point of 2CP. The first point is okay. Why is the first point okay? Because you can roll all the way to the second point,
Yeah, it's
spawn,
much
and no
more-
one's going to chase you that far, right? But the second point, you can't really go in the backline because the backline is their spawn. You can't go in it, right? So if you're looking to do this dive strategy, you can just dive in from main, or you can come in from the right, because it's like a one grapple from up here, from down there, like that, and you can land into the team. Okay.
Mhm.
But yeah, now you have to wait for him to respawn. Should you guys be pushing up like this while your ball's still in spawn? Absolutely not, right? At least wait until Chemist is like in line with you. This is just going to cause the enemies to like dive you if they know what to do. But yeah, even you're doing the same strategy, right? You're slowly capping the point. But what ult did you know they have? Right? EMP.
EMP.
And in comes the dive. You guys can survive this though. Another quick question, by the way. What ult counters EMP? There is one thing you can do to counter EMP.
kind of.
Yes. Yes. If you don't get hit with it and you have chance, you can counter EMP like that. Okay. But now this fight's all over the place. Notice, right? Okay. Another thing as well. If Echo, you've used this move or whatever, you can go in and be the distraction yourself and just ult whenever you can, right? Like you're doing now. This is fine.
Yeah.
Chemist, you should probably help him, right? And dive the brig or whoever's actually getting dived, call it out, right?
Mhm.
The back line can, assist either with the dive, or they should be helping whoever's getting dived, right? Counter dive, right? So Echo, you can like dive, waste their time, and everyone else counter dive and kill whoever's killing your Zen like now, because you don't want your Zen to die here. Good from the brig. Okay, good bomb. And now who should be going on? Diva. Yep.
Diva.
Careful the
Yeah.
mines. The brig is split from the Zen. This is a brig needs to be next to the Zen on your team urgently. I know there's mines on the way, but brig also gets her inspire from the mines. By the way, tell
what
I do that if he doesn't
doing, I
know.
think.
He probably knows it
I
already.
think that's what he was just doing.
Okay, good.
Like-
Yeah. I thought he was just clearing them, but it's just an extra thing to know in case he doesn't. But I'm sure he does. Yeah. But yeah, make sure they're both together. But this is good, right? There was a bit of misplay from the enemy team, but it worked. Yeah. Basically, the misplay from the enemy team was what happened was the ball dived in solo. Then the ball thing came in with a stun. The ball panicked, used his ultimate, so the enemy ball dived in solo, and the whole enemy team got distracted by one Echo ultimate and was just getting like kited around. And then you guys slowly capped it. They panicked. They split. The fight was split basically. Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
But that was a good cap in general.
Awesome.
Yeah, that is our time. Sadly, I couldn't go on to the defense, but that can be something for like next session if you want to spend 1 hour on the defense and then everyone can watch it.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, but does everyone have like something to write down, like a note to write down to know
Yeah.
what they could have done better or a mistake they made, right?
Take
And to not do it next
notation.
time. Yeah. If everyone has one at least, that's good. Okay. Yeah, for Aang, you'll see the one I mentioned here, but if you rewatch this VOD, it was quite early on. But yeah, all good. Right. Any questions? If anyone has like a crazy question or something else unrelated.
You didn't finish before, like what we could swap out the Echo for.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no. Shimada had an idea, right? So basically, it was McCree is a really good one, right? If you want to play the more defensive, so McCree Soldier, are the more defensive ones, and can work, right? Because you can bait out the enemies into diving you. Genji can actually work as well, right? I know if Genji's not meta, Echo a lot of the time is better to go in general. And in this scenario as well, you can even do the Pharah Mercy, right? Instead, and have the Mercy as a replacement for your Zen. But because think about it this way, Zen is there to assist with the dive with discords, right? So if you're not doing a dive and you're doing the point rotation thing, Mercy can be great to keep your tanks alive for longer and heal more consistently. Yeah.
So what support should we play? Brig Mercy or what?
Zen, yeah,
Or
yeah.
Zen
Zen, Brig Mercy, Zen will die, right? Zen is fine. Zen Brig is fine. It's just if you wanted to play the Pharah, right? Echo can survive without a Mercy. But yeah, Farah without a Mercy is no, you can't do that, right? That's if you wanted to do the Farah here instead of the Echo. Okay. But yeah, basically, you've got a lot of choices for DPS, and a lot of the time as well, it's whatever's like good in the current meta. Like for example, Doomfist. No one plays Doomfist now, right? So it's like not a character you want to play. Whereas he would actually kind of work here in terms of like having dive potential and being able to punch whoever's on the point contesting from the enemy team. Yeah.
We've tried Doomfist a little bit on a few other maps.
Yeah, the reason Doomfist isn't good at the moment is because there's a lot of Tracer and like Echo and Sombra, and like Doomfist sucks against all of those, right?
Yeah.
Especially Sombra, dear God. But yeah, so Doomfist wouldn't be a pick here anyway. Again, he's not meta. But yeah, I like the McCree idea. Soldier idea is more defensive. McCree's more offensive with the stunning the ball, stunning the Tracer, blah, blah, blah. Soldier's more defensive to keep your backline alive and on high ground. Then Ash is just a worse McCree. There's no point playing Ash in this scenario, right? Although I do love the Dynamite for the help with the dives. Yeah. Any other ideas of DPSs, Shimada, that you play?
Like Sombra?
Yeah, Sombra's another. Yeah, Sombra's fine, but as I said, disadvantage on attack.
Different, yeah.
But if they don't hack the mini, yeah, Sombra can be good. Like I do like the hack idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you do
any others?
snipers in attack? Like, is it
Who?
possible to play one of the snipers like Hanzo or do an attack, or is it not that great?
Right. In my opinion, Widow is entirely dependent on the map. Right. Widow can be played in any comp, but it's dependent on how good she is on the map. Problem is, she becomes even weaker against the certain enemies as well, right? And dive is like a very hard thing. I don't think it's good. I really don't think it's good. Who's she gonna snipe against that enemy team? That's the problem I'm thinking of. She can be played with any team, but it's dependent on the map and the enemy. Sorry, she can be played with any team, like comp, like in spam, rush, dive, whatever. But it's dependent on the map and the enemy characters. Who are you gonna snipe? That's the problem. And also, Ed's the sniper, isn't he? So you wouldn't pick Widow anyway. Hanzo would be picked, and again, it's the same sort of issue. It's like Brig has a shield, Ball can't get headshotted, Trace is impossible to hit, Sombra is almost impossible to hit. It's just like Diva can't get killed in one hit. So it's like, who do you even snipe? Like Zen, who's like far away between like a million people. Do you see what I mean? No, I don't think the snipers are good. Anyone else that you play?
Yeah, but like I don't think no other hero would fit with the comp.
Yeah. What about Genji though? Genji's an interesting one. He's not meta at the moment. That's the problem. And the problem is if you play against like a lot of Tracers or Sombras, Genji will get destroyed, right?
Yeah.
Like in this scenario. But I'm thinking of other maps, or if you wanted a replacement.
He might work on some maps, but yeah.
Yeah, but do you remember as well? Echo is countered here, right?
Yeah,
you get countered by the Sombra technically. If you're high enough, you're not going to get hacked. But yeah, technically, Sombra Echo is countered here.
Okay.
But yeah, that's it. Any other questions, guys?
I'm just curious, if we were to play the pharmacy with the Brig, like Brig Mercy, what would Brig be doing exactly?
Brig is another point rotator. Right, it's what I said. Do you remember that other Volskaya session we had where I said when I was Brig, I would play here and I'd just cap the point and go in and out like that? Does anyone remember that? I'd do that against spam. I was doing that against spam, but it's the same thing against dive, right? And Brig, again, find a corner and do a point rotation. Brig is just like very good for like counter dive, whereas in like with the stun, right? Also, it removes removes all other targets to get dived. Basically, it becomes only Brig gets dived, and then it's up to the Brig skill of using her shield and like shield jumping, right, and using whip shot and stuff like that. It is basically there's no longer like a big dive target. It's just that Brig. Again, I mean I'm biased towards Brig because like Brig was one of the funnest heroes for me, even though everyone hates her, and I loved playing her like solo and just like literally getting the whole team to run after me and just like surviving for like a minute straight just with like Brig stun jumps. Basically I would go up here and like stun jump over to like here, right, and then stun jump back and like use corners and all this stuff. It's fun. But yeah, I like that there. Do you have any other idea of someone you could play instead of the Brig if you were playing Mercy?
And Anna?
Like, you could say Lucio, right? You could say So the problem with Anna is she gets dived even easier than Brig. Brig has really good counter dive potential unless she gets dived by like the whole enemy team, obviously. But that happens to every support, right? But remember, it's Brig and Zen. Brig and Zen are your backline. If they're not getting dived and they're not dying, right? Having just a Brig, it's the same sort of tankiness. Whereas if it's an Anna solo, right? That's like Anna without Anna's like Zen, right? It's like a bit better than Zen, but Anna's nowhere near as tanky and hard to dive as like Brig. So Anna will just die if you have Anna solo. She'll get dived and she'll die in like 1 second. The problem with Anna is the moment there's more than one person diving, it's game over for her. Zen dies to any diver. Anna dies to more than one. Brig dies to like, I'd say more than two. Like there's way more tankiness there. Yeah. You could think of Lucio, by the way, and then just do a full team that just can't get dived, like Lucio Mercy. But then at that point, like, where's your healing? Do you see?
True.
You can't do that, though. I've seen teams do that, Lucio Mercy. It works. And you just have to be very good at, like, healing, basically, and Lucio in general. Any other questions?